The Empire had conquered 17 star systems in 300 years. Their warships moved through space like silver shadows, carrying weapons that could turn planets into ash. Admiral stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conquest, looking at a small blue planet on his screen. Earth, the of a species called humans. His second officer commander walked up beside him. She was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 eyes that never blinked. "Admiral, we have received another transmission from the planet," she said. Made a sound of annoyance. "Play it." The screen flickered and a human female appeared. She wore a dark uniform with gold markings on her shoulders. Her face was calm, but there was something in her eyes that did not like, something cold. "This is Admiral Sarah of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said. "This is our final warning. You have entered restricted space. Turn your fleet around now. If you continue toward Earth, we will consider it an act of war. We do not want conflict, but we are prepared for it. You have 6 hours to change course. This message will not be repeated." The transmission ended. Silence filled the bridge. Then laughed. It was a deep, rumbling sound that echoed through the room. Other officers joined him, their laughter filling the air like music. "These creatures threaten us," said. "We have 500 warships. Our empire has never lost a war. What do these humans have? Primitive rockets, chemical weapons." He shook his head. "They are insects trying to scare a storm." Did not laugh. She had studied the intelligence reports about humans. Something about this species made her uncomfortable. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 60 years ago, but in that short time, they had spread to 12 colonies. They had fought 3 wars against other species and won all of them. The reports said humans were adaptive, creative, and strangely unpredictable. "Admiral," said carefully, "perhaps we should gather more information before we attack. The humans have defeated the Horde, the Collective, and the—" "They were weak," interrupted. "They were fools. We are the Empire. We have conquered races that built cities when these humans were still living in caves." He turned to his navigation officer. "Set course for Earth. Maximum speed. We attack in 12 hours." The fleet moved forward. 500 ships of death and destruction, sliding through the darkness of space toward a small blue world that had sent them a warning. On Earth, Admiral watched the alien fleet approach on her tactical display. She sat in the command center of Luna Base, surrounded by screens and officers who moved with quiet efficiency. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, but she did not notice. "They ignored the warning," said General, her chief tactical officer. He was an older man with gray hair and scars on his hands from wars fought long ago. "They always do," replied. "How many ships?" 500 confirmed, mostly heavy cruisers and battleships. Their flagship is massive, almost 3 kilometers long. Nodded slowly. "Activate Protocol Omega." Hesitated for just a moment. Protocol Omega had never been used before. It was humanity's secret, their hidden weapon, the thing they had built in the shadows while pretending to be weak. "Are you sure, Admiral? Once we reveal what we have, the galaxy will know what humanity really is," finished his sentence. "Yes, I know, but they came to our home. They ignored our warning. They chose this." She looked at the screen where the alien fleet moved like a swarm of metal insects. "Now they will learn why Earth has never been conquered." Deep beneath the surface of Mars, machines that had been sleeping for decades began to wake up. On the dark side of the moon, hatches opened in the gray dust, revealing weapons that should not have existed. In the asteroid belt, thousands of objects that looked like rocks began to move, their surfaces splitting apart to show the ships hidden inside. Admiral was preparing for battle when the first alarm sounded. "Admiral," his sensor officer shouted, "new contacts appearing everywhere." The tactical display changed. Where there had been nothing but empty space, thousands of ships were suddenly appearing. They came from asteroids, from moons, from the darkness itself. Human ships, warships unlike anything they had ever seen. That is impossible, whispered. Our scans showed nothing. Where did they come from? They were hidden, said, her voice barely a breath. They were waiting for us. The human fleet numbered over 8,000 ships. They surrounded the armada like wolves surrounding a herd of prey. And they were not the primitive vessels the Empire had expected. These ships were built for war, covered in weapons and armor, their designs efficient and deadly. A new transmission came through. Admiral appeared on the screen again. Her face had not changed, still calm, still cold. Admiral of the Empire, she said. You were warned. You did not listen. Now you will understand why that was a mistake. For 60 years, humanity has hidden its true strength. We let the galaxy think we were weak. We let them believe we were young and foolish. But we are neither. She leaned forward slightly. We are the children of a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have ended any other species. We learned to fight before we learned to speak, and now you have brought war to our door. Found his voice. You are bluffing. Numbers mean nothing if your technology is inferior. Our weapons will cut through your ships like. Your weapons, interrupted, are based on plasma technology that we abandoned 40 years ago because we found something better. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Fire when ready. The battle lasted 17 minutes. The human ships moved with a coordination that seemed impossible. They did not fight like individuals but like a single organism, each vessel knowing exactly where to be and when to fire. Their weapons were things they had never seen before. Beams of energy that ignored shields. Missiles that seemed to think, that changed direction, that hunted their targets with patient intelligence. Watched his fleet die around him. The great warships of the Empire, the pride of 300 years of conquest, were being torn apart like paper in a storm. Ships exploded in silence, their crews dying in the cold vacuum of space. Return fire, screamed. All ships return fire. But the weapons did almost nothing. The human ships had shields that absorbed plasma like water absorbing drops of rain. And when missiles reached their targets, defensive systems shot them down with casual precision. Grab's arm. Admiral, we must retreat. The fleet is lost. We cannot retreat, shouted. The Empire does not run. Then the Empire dies here, said. Around them, the flagship shook as human weapons struck its hull. Systems failed. Lights flickered and died. The great ship that had conquered worlds was becoming a tomb. On the tactical display, watched the last of his ships die. 487 vessels destroyed. The remaining 13 were running, trying to escape, but human ships chased them like hunters chasing wounded animals. A final transmission came through. Admiral's face filled the screen. Admiral, she said, your fleet is destroyed, your flagship is crippled. You have two choices: surrender and live or continue fighting and die. Choose now. Stared at the screen. His hands were shaking. His entire body was shaking. In 300 years, the Empire had never lost a battle. Now, in 17 minutes, their greatest fleet had been wiped out by a species they had considered primitive. How? He asked. His voice was broken, confused. How is this possible? You should not have this technology. You should not have this power. His expression softened slightly, just slightly. We tried to warn you, she said. We told you to turn back. We did not want this, but you came anyway. You brought your weapons to our home, and now you have learned the truth that every species in this galaxy will eventually learn. She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was quiet but carried the weight of worlds. Humanity does not start wars, but we finish them. We do not seek enemies, but we destroy those who threaten our people. We gave you a chance to leave in peace. You chose war. This is the result. Lowered his head. I surrender, he said. The words tasted like ash in his mouth. The human ship stopped firing. Medical vessels moved in to rescue survivors from the destroyed fleet. The war was over before it had truly begun. In the months that followed, the galaxy changed. Word spread about what happened in Earth's solar system. The Empire, once feared by dozens of species, had sent its greatest fleet against humanity and lost everything. The story grew with each telling. Some said the humans had weapons that could destroy stars. Others said they had ships that could turn invisible, that could teleport, that could do things no other species had imagined. The truth was simpler and more frightening. Humanity had simply been preparing. For 60 years they had watched the galaxy with careful eyes. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had seen the conquer world after world. And they had decided that when their time came, they would be ready. Admiral retired 3 years after the battle. She bought a small house near the ocean and spent her days watching the waves. Sometimes reporters came to ask her about the war. She always gave them the same answer. "We are not warriors because we enjoy war," she would say. "We are warriors because we love peace. And we learned long ago that the best way to protect peace is to be so strong that no one dares to break it." On Prime, the of the defeated empire, a new monument was built. It showed a human ship and a ship side by side, not in battle but in peace. Beneath it were words in both languages. Earth warned us, we should have listened. The galaxy had learned a lesson that day. Humanity was not a species to be conquered. They were not victims waiting to be taken. They were survivors of a world that had forged them in fire and ice, in war and disaster, in challenges that would have broken any other race. And now the galaxy knew their name. Years later, when other species asked about humanity, they would shake their heads and speak in quiet voices. "Do not wake the humans," they would say. "Let them sleep. Let them live in peace. Because if you threaten them, if you give them a reason to fight, they will show you why Earth has never fallen. They will show you why humanity has never been conquered. And you will learn, as we learned, that some warnings should never be ignored." The blue planet called Earth continued to spin in its corner of the galaxy. Its people went about their lives, working and laughing and loving as people everywhere do. But beneath the surface, the weapons still waited. In the shadows, the hidden fleet still slept. And humanity watched the stars with patient eyes, ready for the next species that failed to listen. Because there would always be another empire that thought itself strong enough. And humanity would always be ready to prove them wrong.